Well, hello, guys. It's episode 1 of Holy Cow with Chase and Greg. I am Chase, and joining me is Greg. He's over there. Got to remember the mirrored thing on the camera, and it's opening week of baseball, which I think is probably the best week of the year, probably, Greg?
Definitely. I look forward to it all winter.
Yeah, well, where you're at, you have to long for springtime.
We have basketball, but at one point, there's just nothing like watching a good baseball game.
No, it's a great time. In case you don't know, Greg is probably the biggest sports nut that I know. He's probably the biggest baseball fan. He travels all over the country to see baseball games. In fact, before we started filming, we were talking about what his plans are this summer. He was able to squeeze in Cactus League and Grapefruit League, though, for spring training.
Good time. First time I've been out to Arizona, probably 20 years. And got 3 ballparks out there still that I need to visit, and then I've seen them all. And I've got 2 ballparks down in the Grapefruit League in Florida that I need to see, and I've seen all of them there. So they need to quit building new ones so that I get caught up. But my plan, hopefully next February, next March, is to say that I've seen all of them, and then I can continue to work on my major league list to knock that down to under 10 as well.
So who would you say had the best ballpark in Arizona?
I'm pretty biased. I thought Sloan Park probably was the nicest. The Dodgers White Sox ballpark, Camelback Park, Camelback Mountain, I think is what it's called, is real nice as well. The old Ho-Ho-Cam that the Cubs played in for years, saw an Angels game there. That was a pretty nice ballpark. Cincinnati and Cleveland share a pretty nice one there in Goodyear as well. I've been told the one that the Rockies and the Diamondbacks have, and I'm not sure what the name of it, but I've seen it's rated either 1 or 2 most fan polls I've seen. So definitely definitely on my list to see. And I haven't seen the one where the Brewers play in. So those are the only 2 I've not seen there. And in the Grapefruit League, I haven't been to the new Atlanta Braves ballpark yet, and I haven't been to the new Houston ballpark yet. And so when I was in the Grapefruit League, though, a couple weeks ago, we usually go to Anna Maria Island. So Bradenton is real close, and their ballpark, will always be McKechnie Field to me, which they call it Lecom Park now. But I saw 4 games there, and I mean, it's a 20-minute drive from where we stay. And then I went up to Dunedin to see the Blue Jays play Detroit Tigers. Usually I'll branch out and I'll go across the bridge into Clearwater, catch a Phillies game, and go south to Sarasota about 20-25 minutes to see the Orioles play. So this year it was just easier to stay and watch games there in Bradenton, because Bradenton's ballpark reminds me a lot of Wrigley Field. It's old. It's in a neighborhood, lots of steel. It's just a cool place to watch a baseball game.
Yeah, they a lot of those fields out there in Florida, it's really cool. I've been to a few of them out there for spring training in Florida, but most of my spring training has been Phoenix. And I don't think you made it out to it, Scottsdale Field for the Giants.
I did about when I first went out there 20-some years ago. Saw the Cubs play at Scottsdale. That I wanted to go back again this year because that was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
The scenery is unbelievable. The mountains. I mean, that you just can't get that in Florida.
Well, and then you've got that ballpark is just right in the middle of a neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the police station's right there. So if you get too rowdy and you get a disorderly conduct, it's not too far to where you can go and get bonded out and have your fun. But it's a lot of fun. Hopefully, this next year we will all get to do the Holy Cow spring training trip.
Sounds good.
Put that on there. So we're out of spring training. We're through the first series. We're actually into the second series with Milwaukee. But let's take a little look and we'll break down some stuff that happened this past week. We started off with the Pittsburgh Pirates, which you would think would be a sweep, but unfortunately, they were able to get us on one. First game of the year was a loss, 3-5, 9 hits. They did have 2 errors, which I know we were talking early that it wasn't that big of a stretch to think that Pittsburgh was going to have that problem.
No, like I said, I saw Pittsburgh 4 times in Florida, and I know people say Pittsburgh or they say Pirates, and you immediately think cellar dweller, bottom feeder, but they're not as bad, I don't think, as people think they are. Now, to ask me to name 2 or 3 of their starters, I can't do that because they have a lot of no-name players.
Yes.
That's just how it is. But who they have, like I said, I thought they played well. I think one of the interesting things about spring baseball is that if it's a tie game at the end of the game, it stays a tie game. I bet I saw 4 tie games between the 2 places. And I don't think I saw the Pirates lose a game. They either won or they tied all 4 games that they played. And they played the Twins one day. They played the Orioles one day. I'm not sure who else they played. But, I mean, I think they're going to be better than what people think they are. Of course, I know a lot of people seem to think that it's going to be the Cubs and the Pirates fighting it out for 4th and 5th place in the National League Central. I certainly hope not. I'd like to see the Brewers and the Reds fighting for those 2 positions, but we'll just have to wait and see how the season pans out. But Pittsburgh is going to give people some problems this year. They're not going to roll over.
No. And they look good. They had some good hits. The errors, 5 errors over a series, you don't want to see that as you're going in and getting into the routine of the season. This will actually be a full season, hopefully 162 games.
Fingers crossed.
Right. The way Texas is doing it, they're going all out. They're planning for the whole shebang. They had their first game yesterday for maximum capacity. But our main guy, the guy that we thought was going to be for sure the man in the pitching rotation, Kyle Hendricks, got that opening day bid, and he went 3 innings.
Yeah.
4 hits.
He's on the hill tomorrow, isn't he?
Yes.
Okay, so I am hoping that he comes out tomorrow and a little bit different, and we'll see the Kyle Hendricks that we've been used to seeing the last 4 or 5 years. I can't imagine that the pressure of being the number 1 is what the problem was the first day. But again, it wasn't the warmest day. You've been training in Arizona for 6 weeks, quite possibly. Who knows?
Right.
There could be a lot of reasons why he didn't pitch well that first game.
And then the same day you have in Detroit, it looked like a blizzard.
Oh yeah.
It's following it, and I know there for a while they were talking about trying to keep opening day games in the South and try to work the schedule to where more of the teams that are in the North that still have winter in May could maybe not have so many games postponed or moved or anything like that, have to play makeup games because of that. But yeah, it was a very cold day. It looked like he kind of had some issues with control there. He had 4 hits, 3 runs, all of them earned runs, 1 home run. He walked 3, only struck out 4. So that's going to tell you he had some control issues.
Yeah, I guess we should be glad he only walked 3. But
Yes.
because he wasn't sharp. I mean, he wasn't awful, but again, he wasn't the Kyle Hendricks we're used to seeing on the mound for the Cubs. So, like I said, I'm just hoping that it was first game, first day jitters, and hopefully, like I said, he comes out tomorrow. It'll be interesting to watch him tomorrow, see what happens, and hopefully we can pick this one up tonight and we get a win out of him tomorrow. And we've won first 2 series of the season. I mean, I that's how I always win every series you play. If
Right.
you win 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4, you're going to be playing October baseball. So we will see what happens.
Yes, and I think if this series with Milwaukee stays competitive, I really think the past 2 or 3 seasons it's been Milwaukee, the Cubs, and St. Louis. The NL Central for just baseball fans in general have been pretty exciting. They kind of took over for a while. The NL West was pretty cool, as far as with competition. They had there for a while the Giants, the Dodgers, and the Rockies really just kind of battling it out. 1, 2, 3. That's kind of taken over here in the NL Central. I think it's one of the more exciting competitive leagues that are there. You still have the Reds and Pittsburgh to kind of, balance out the bottom half of that.
You've got 4 out of the 5 teams in the NL Central that could legitimately be considered the favorite. Maybe I'm just saying that because I'm a Cubs fan, but I truly believe the Cubs still are going to be in it at the end.
Right.
And the other 3, definitely. I very easily could see one of the wild cards being from the Central. I mean, everyone seems to think that they've pretty much all said the Dodgers are going to win the West. And I think a lot of people feel that the Padres will grab one of those wild card spots. And I've seen a lot of people predict that the Mets will grab the one in the East. But, I guess we'll just have to wait and see because, the Braves got off to a horrible start in their opening series. So, there's no guarantee that, the Braves are going to be the East champions. I mean, the Phillies have been right on the edge of it the last 3-4 years. So they could very easily slip in there. The Mets could very easily slip in there.
I know everybody's got that hype on the Mets because of the Francisco Lindor signing, the new ownership, things like that. They got rid of Mick. I can't remember there was a name that they had for the old coach that they had to let go for the sexual harassment deal or whatever. Yeah. That whole ordeal. So, they're trying to clean house, get things going. Really, though, Pittsburgh surprised me they had a lot of hits over they had 22 hits. Yeah. They just couldn't convert the next 2 games.
Get the ball. They couldn't get the runners in off bases. I mean, like I said, when I was in Bradenton 2 weeks ago, Pittsburgh had 6-7 hits every game. I mean, they didn't score a lot of runs, but they sure could hit the ball.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the lowest that they had were 6 hits during that. So they're not a team to sit on. I think it'll be interesting to see how it goes and how they progress to see if they can convert a lot of those into runs. I know there's been a big focus and a big shift from playing that whole power ball where we're just worried about launch angle and we'll take 500 strikeouts as long as you can give us 45 home runs and that kind of era that I think they're trying to dial that back a little bit to try to make it a little bit more competitive. So there might be some small ball. Yeah. Pittsburgh not – what's sad is in the second game, if you look right here, the 1 run on 6 hits. I mean, you can't win ball games like that.
No, absolutely not.
So, it was great for Chicago to be able to come through with that to win 5-1. And that was that second game. It was a Saturday game. They were able to pull that win out. I believe that was that was the Jake Arrieta game. Jake Arrieta coming back in full force. We've missed him around the Chicagoland area. He's a great guy. Was with the 2016 World Series and had some struggles in Philadelphia, but it seems like he's right at home in Chicago.
Yeah, seems like he's off to a good start.
Yeah, and I think that was the one kind of guy that people were iffy on was, is this going to be the Jake Arrieta that we remember?
I was pretty impressed with his start this way. I mean, he reminded me of the Arrieta of old. And let's be honest here. He's 2-3 years older than he was when he was here last time, and that last season he was here, he had some struggles. But excuse my cat. But he's going to fill a slot, and you know what? He's not going to win every time he takes the mound, but I can't help but believe that he's going to be a real help to us this year. He knows the game. I mean, he's been there. I think he's going to be a stable influence for some of our younger pitchers. And again, it was just one appearance, but Kimbrel came in the end of the game on Saturday. 1, 2, 3. 2 strikeouts, and I think he got a ground out or a pop up. But Cubs aren't going to overpower anybody this year.
No.
But when the little things that are supposed to happen do happen, I think we'll be okay. I honestly, and again, I know I'm biased, I honestly don't see them being fifth. I don't see them being fourth. They may possibly slide to third, but I'm not still sold on the Reds. They had, spent all that money last year, and what'd you get out of it? I mean, you didn't even get into the playoffs. Right. So, bottom line, they pretty much played, when you're in the same division, you're pretty much playing the same schedule. So, and again, not to make my Red friends mad, but they had all kinds of excuses last year why they didn't win, and it's like, what? The bottom line is take care of the ball. They say a lot about the Cubs, but the Cubs found a way to win last year, at least until the playoffs, and the Reds just, they kept. I think towards maybe it was the last week of the season, the Reds started playing, and all of a sudden, we're going to make the playoffs, and that didn't last very long either. But it'll be interesting to see. I can't wait for the first Chicago-Cincinnati series coming up sometime this month. I don't know. I'd have to look. I'm not sure we play each other for the first month, maybe. I don't know. It seems like that was one that Cubs don't play for a while.
Yeah, I can't remember.
First weekend of May, play 3 at Cincinnati, and then they come to Chicago the Memorial Day weekend. Then they don't see each other again till July. Then they'll see each other again middle of August, middle of September. So, which will be interesting. The Cubs end the season on a 6-game road trip, 3 at Pittsburgh and 3 in St. Louis. And they just never seem to play well in St. Louis. So I'm hoping that maybe it won't matter.
Right.
We'll have something sewn up, clinched before we go into St. Louis that weekend, but we'll just have to wait and see. I should. Maybe they'll catch COVID again, and they'll have to play double headers for 2 weeks in a row. I don't know.
I mean, that's what looks like.
I shouldn't say that, but
right. Well, that's what it looks like is going to happen too for a few teams. The Mets and the
Nationals.
Nationals. Their whole series was canceled. but they were able to pull out 2 of the 3 games for their first one with a 4-3 win yesterday, which I guess was 2 days ago because this is Tuesday on the show. And they were able to pull out a win. 4 runs on 3 hits as opposed to the 3 runs on 7 hits. Once again, Pittsburgh just not able to do anything there with the runs. Left on base totals are outrageous.
And they just let the Reds go past in the last inning. So we're in the bottom of the 8th, and the Reds are up 3-2 over the Pirates.
Okay. I mean, right now they don't have a good – Chicago Cubs right now are sitting here with a 154 batting average.
Yeah.
270 for on-base percentage. OPS is 635 and slugging's 365. They're not looking that great. But you've got, Cincinnati sitting up there right now in first with 30 runs, 35 hits. They're just bashing the crap out of the ball.
And today I think they've got 3 runs. So, and I've always believed the schedule has a lot to do with how you do, who you play, when you play them.
Right.
Well, obviously, the Cardinals are the Cardinals. It doesn't matter. But, if you're lucky enough to play them early, and I mean, I don't know that the Reds will take 2 out of 3 from St. Louis the rest of the season, but they were able to do so in the opening series. So, I'm glad they did. But we'll see what happens.
And as a baseball fan, you know that you can't pull the trigger on game 3 of 162. You have 159 more to go. And in these, you see these teams that'll start out dead last where they'll go on a 10-game losing streak. And it's like, let's just lose our 10 games here and we'll go finish, 100 wins, 62 of them, 52 more losses spread out through 7 months of baseball. It's insane. It's just kind of one of those things once they start to hit their stride where they're at. And I think
I saw an article the last couple of days, and I thought it was a great article that, everybody talks about, how you finish the end of the season, wins and losses, but they don't tend to remember, nor do they talk about how you start the season. And you can't start the season cold because, it's been 20, 30 years ago when Cal Ripken's father was coach of the Orioles, and I think they opened the season with 23 straight losses. I mean, that's hard to imagine, but you're done. I mean, you're done before you're out of the month of April.
Right.
When you start like that. And I think that was part of Cincinnati's problem last year, was that they didn't start off well. And, I think sometimes it's easier to protect a lead than it is to make up, because when you're behind, you not only have to win your games, but you need help from others as well. So, when you're ahead, you know what? As long as you're winning, it doesn't matter. So, nonetheless, I see we have 2 on. We have 2 on top of the 7th with no outs. I hope that's not a bad thing there, but we'll see. Runners at second and third, 1 out. Yikes! We'll see what happens.
Well, it's looking like it's they're in that situation. I would much rather be in the situation that the Cubs are in tonight with Milwaukee, because Milwaukee looked great against Minnesota, and I think that's really.
I think Minnesota's got a great team.
Yeah, they're slugging it out. They had that great run, the past couple seasons. They've really kind of shown that they could be a good up and coming team.
Yeah.
And I think really the main focus for the Cubs this year is going to be how they utilize such a lackluster pitching, the pitching rotation, bullpen. It was good to see that Kimbrel could come out and get the save. He's down dramatically with his velocity from his days in in Atlanta when he was just lights out, 101. He was throwing. I saw it. I think he hit 93. He's no Shohei Ohtani, which who would have thought that 101 mile an hour fastball from a starting pitcher, he would hit 115 on the exit velocity on a home run his first outing.
Absolutely.
But Kimbrel's lost a lot of that speed. So now it's not throwing, it's pitching. And that's one of the things that you have to watch as a pitcher matures is, guys like Bartolo Colon who made it work. Bartolo Colon, when he started, just threw gas. And that's all he did. And then he learned to pitch. And I think that's what we're going to have to watch with Kimbrel is Kimbrel going to be able to really hit his spots, use it. He had 5 strikeouts over the past 2 games. So it's there. I think the thing that we're going to be interesting to see is really just kind of their run production. They lost Kyle Schwarber, which I know a lot of us are upset about, because Schwarber was a fan favorite. He was also a great player, but they were able to pick up Jock Peterson on it, which Jock Peterson during the spring training was incredible.
Yeah, like I mentioned to you a little bit earlier tonight, that I only got to see the Cubs play twice in Arizona, but those 2 games, they played against the Angels and they played against the White Sox. He impressed me. His defense out in the field was good. He had, I think, a couple hits both games. So, I think we're so used to thinking that it's always going to be Bryant and Rizzo at first, and we forget that we've got to have everybody in it to do a good job. So here's hoping that of course I'm, and again, maybe this is just my Cub optimism, but those 2 didn't have their best season last year, Brian especially. Contreras didn't really play well last year. Baez did not have what he had in years past. So excuse us.
We've got a third host.
Oh, yes. Well, he'll make sure he's part of it. But I truly believe Baez is going to be the key. That's my own opinion. But I think if he has one of those seasons, those big bounce back seasons that I think he can and will have, he can carry a ball club when he gets real hot.
Right.
And, his enthusiasm is so infectious that I just hope that we get to a point this spring, this summer, where he is just lights out on fire and he's going to be amazing. Oh, crap. Someone just hit a home run. It's now 3-4.
Yes.
I don't know who was up. But, oh, well, we still have the lead.
Yep. Adam, it looked like Adam gave it up in the top of the 7th.
Oh.
The guy that I was really excited about the signing, and I kind of saw a lot of him because, working with stuff in the AL West for a long time, was Eric Sogard. He played in Oakland. Sorry.
Yes.
And I think he is going to be great off the bench. I know they're kind of doing that platoon, kind of almost a half game, bringing him in to pinch hit for David Bote, or Bodie, or however. I always try to make him sound French, but I think Eric Sogard, I want to see that situation, how that goes with that playing at second base. Who's going to really step up, because both of them are great.
Yeah.
It's early on.
They have more than just one choice, too.
Yes. I think the deal going down the stretch is going to be the catcher situation. The catcher is probably the toughest spot in the lineup. And we don't really have anybody who's really established for the catcher. I know, we have Wilson Contreras, Austin Romine, but really he's on the IL for the 10-day IL. But really, he's going to be the one that's carrying it. Tony Wolders is there as well. They got the Miguel Amaya, who's in the minors. But I think that's going to be really interesting to see. If something, God forbid, happens with Contreras, what's going to happen in that
exactly. Yeah, we're not real deep there.
No.
And that's catcher is always such a high risk position in terms of injury anyway.
Yes.
Between foul tips and trying to block wild pitches, and it's not a easy position to play anyway. And we're fortunate that we have someone that's pretty good back there right now. I mean, I wouldn't go as far to say he was the next Johnny Bench, but he does a good job for us back there.
Right. So, you know what, Greg? You know what is not hard to play?
Right field.
Right field and Monkey Knife Fight. It's our first commercial. We're big leaguing it now. Monkey Knife Fight. It is your daily fantasy sports playground. It is a lot of fun. It's very, very easy. It's easier than most of them. You just go on and you play the stat line based on players. It's different than anything else. So it's like right now, I can go on here. I'm on my phone. I'm on my app, which I used Holy Cow to download, and they'll match your deposit. And I can pick, do I believe that Frankie Montas for the Oakland Athletics is going to have 4.5 pitching strikeouts? Pick the over or under on that. My pitcher is Dustin May. It's the same stat. They also have this new one called Home Run Derby, where I go in and I pick 3 of my favorite players that will get the most home runs. And they have a payout of 1.5 to 5 times the prizes. So go on, play. It's a lot of fun. Monkey Knife Fight. Use our code, Holy Cow, and have some fun.
Absolutely.
I'm sure that we will all be playing, and it passes the time. I play it during the NFL season. I play all the time. It's a great time. Maybe we'll have to talk about how we're doing and get us a nice little running tab on who's making the most money during the season. So I guess this should probably wrap up our first show. I'm going to ask you, who is your number one Cub player that you want to see this season that has really intrigued you?
In terms of having a good season, or
yeah, like who's the player that you think is the player to watch?
I think, like I said, my 2 choices, I'm not sure I could say just one. I'd have to say Baez, and I'd have to say Bryant, because I think they've both got something to prove. We all realize that at the end of the season, we're going to be talking about contracts, and
yep.
As much as I'd like to think that they'll all be back next year, who knows? But to me, I would think as a player, that would be a great motivator right there to, if I know I'm in the last season of my contract and I want to improve it, or I want to possibly get a bigger payday, I've got to put the numbers up. And,
right. I know Rizzo stopped the contract talks.
Yeah. So. I don't know. I still think that's going to be resolved before the end of the season. I don't look at him as being that hardcore.
Right.
Possibly his agent is, but I don't know. I think all 3 of them genuinely want to come back. So I would hope that, Jed would find a way to work with them both, and all 3 actually. And maybe we get, we're still first place and strong contention at the trade deadline. Who knows? Maybe we can swing a pitcher and get someone to add to that. I mean, we never seem to really want to do that the last couple seasons.
Right.
So we'll just, it's going to be an interesting, intriguing season to watch as it unfolds and how they play. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm looking at Jock Peterson and Eric Sogar. I think the Jock Peterson signing was a great signing for us.
I think he will be the best thing that's happened to us in a long time.
I think it'll be great. Eric Sogar deal, seeing him come off the bench, seeing how he's playing for us. But I've got some good news for you, Greg. And this might help you out on what we were talking about earlier with your travels. And it's breaking news on Holy Cow. Who knew that? The All-Star game looks like it will be played at Coors Field.
Really?
Yes. Says Colorado expected to host 2021 MLB All-Star game after game was moved from Atlanta. And that's coming from the people over at ESPN.
Well,
so not anybody that was even in the list. I
was going to say, that's why I don't bet money a lot, because they weren't in my top 5.
Yeah. CBS Sports put out an article right when the news kind of broke that American Family Field in Milwaukee, Dodger Stadium, Globe Life in Arlington. They threw out a stadium in San Juan, Puerto Rico, which they thought would kind of be funny. I guess that they thought 18,000 fans was going to be what MLB wanted for their big jewel of an event. Wrigley Field and Yankee Stadium. But it looks like it's going to be another great home run derby, because that field is where it's at.
Well, like I said, I am hoping to go there. I've never been there. I'm hoping to go in first week of August when the Cubs play 3. I think the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, the first week of August. So we'll see what happens.
I think that was probably that is one of the key moments in my baseball fandom, was watching King Griffey Jr. there at Coors Field during that All-Star game and just beat the hell out of the balls. Mm-hmm. So there's a reason why he's the greatest, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a beautiful ballpark, a great city. So it gives me something to look forward to in August.
Yes. Well, this has been a great show. It's the first episode. Watch us every Tuesday for the rest of the season and then some. Maybe we can get some cool guys on. I am coming for you, Andrew Chaffin. I want you on the show because you are the real life Chet Steadman. And I love everything about this man, the handlebar mustache, the little chubby beer gut that he's got going on. And he's got a podcast about his farm. So I think he's an interesting character. That is my goal for the show this year, is to have Andrew Chaffin on.
Sounds good.
So maybe we'll talk about how 21 years ago, Greg and I met one day, and now we're doing a podcast together.
Sounds good. I'll have to dial back and think of, being the old guy here, sometimes those memories are a little bit harder to retrieve than normal, but definitely we'll have to do that.
Right. I think a Cactus League road trip will be quite the interesting thing.
Absolutely.
It'll be a cross between The Hangover and what was that other movie, Grumpy Old Men? See what kind of trouble we can get into.
As long as it doesn't turn into a weekend at Bernie's, I'm okay.
Yes, no weekend at Bernie's. So yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. This was awesome. Check us out. It is at Holy Cow Show. You can find all of our information on Facebook and Instagram, and that's where you can watch us every Tuesday. But until then, go Cubs go, right?
Absolutely. Many thanks to all my friends who have signed up and have liked us. Hopefully you'll watch and you'll enjoy and you'll come back.
Yeah. Gives us something to do, and it helps us pass this season along, which a lot of people think that it could end up not too great. But Chaffin just got the call in there for the top of the 7th, so we'll go see how that goes. Until next time, guys, have fun. I'm Chase. That's Greg. He's somewhere.
We'll see you next time.
Right.